Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And if you ever wondered whether or not these media outlets wanted you to be angry about pop culture, here is your answer. We're going to look at a couple of different articles, one from CNN about Inside Out 2 and the other one about the new Zelda game, and both of them are saying that people are angry. They're furious on social media, but they're not providing a single example.
Yes, they're mad because they're culture warriors that are angry. It says CNN and this other place. I call that grifting. Isn't that what they call us all the time? Grifters?
Grifters. They're not even providing any examples. Like if you had a list a mile long of all the people complaining about Inside Out 2 doing well or Zelda, that would be one thing. But there are literally in both of these articles no examples at all. They're just like, well, the right wingers are mad. Where? Who? Where? Because everything I have seen, especially in regards to Zelda, is like people are not angry. They're not.
I mean, you might have a couple people, but we're talking the majority or not.
But a lot of people are like, yeah, well, she was an action hero in the cartoon show when we were growing up. Who cares? Nobody cares.
The Inside Out too. They're like fills Disney with joy, but even the cultural critics stay angry. Who? Because most people I'm seeing are like, oh, look, they went back to form. This is great. It's doing really well in the theater because they went and made an actual Pixar film. The ones who are mad, who I see that are salty and pissed, are the people on places like X that are mad because they're like, well, Riley's trans because I said so, or Riley's lesbian because I said so. And they're mad they didn't make canonically these things in the movie. They're the ones who are getting mad. But most people are going to the movie and voting with their wallet because they're like, oh, look, you gave us a movie that feels like traditional Pixar. Who's fucking mad?
Nobody's really mad. And even the people that they think are the quote unquote culture warriors, a lot of them are not legitimately angry about it. They're more disappointed. They're more like, yeah, I really wish this thing was like it was when I was growing up and now it's not.
But it is though. They made this one like when it was like, and that's why people were happy, like, oh, it turned out to be good. Yay.
We did a whole video saying that, Disney's going to learn a tough lesson from this one because Inside Out is a massive hit. And the takeaway needs to be, I don't know if the takeaway is going to be, but the takeaway needs to be go back to being Disney, go back to being Pixar, and you will be rewarded financially for it.
Exactly.
If Star Wars goes back to being Star Wars and Marvel goes back to being Marvel, you will also be rewarded for it. But yeah, they want you angry. They want you angry. That's basically it. That's all I can, come up with here. So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
I talked about this the other day. I said it seems like a lot of these news outlets, as their traffic is dying for a variety of reasons, they're going back to 2017 tactics, and they're trying to, publish rage bait about fans, fan baiting.
But accusing everybody else of doing it as they're doing it.
Because they need the views. They want I don't think a lot of them actually believe what they're publishing. I think they're doing it because they know if they publish a contrary opinion, an unpopular opinion, traffic is traffic. And they're probably being told you get this much traffic this month or you're done. That's what I think is probably going on. But let's look at this. We'll look at Inside Out 2, and then we'll look at Zelda. It was so stupid. We didn't cover this before, but they're like, oh my God, guys, the bigots are mad. No, what bigots? They don't even cite a single example. CNN, Inside Out 2 fills Disney with joy, even if its culture war critics stay angry. Okay. Disney's loudest critics might sound angry, but Inside Out 2 is bringing the studio nothing but joy.
Yeah, but it's bringing on the box office people joy too. People who went to see it, they're like, oh my God, it's good. Hallelujah. They gave us an actual good Pixar movie again. That's what we wanted.
Disney has found itself cast as a reluctant participant in the culture wars.
Oh no, trust me. They go in willingly.
Head first.
Yeah.
Yielding occasional calls for boycotts and proclamations about the company becoming too woke. The explosive box office success of Inside Out 2 provides necessary perspective about a vast audience that remains hungry for Disney content, certainly enough to generate a major hit.
Yes, because they want it. No. See, you missed some words. You have an audience that's hungry for classic Disney content. Disney content without forced agenda. Disney content that's family friendly. Disney content that feels like old school Pixar. And you give them what they want, and it does well. That's what people like us have been telling you this entire time. It's not hard.
Oh my God.
You're so full of shit.
So then we spend a whole paragraph talking about Ron DeSantis, the Don't Say Gay bill.
But then like the culture wars, it sounds like they're the writers invested in a bunch of culture war bullshit, not the audience. He's blaming it on.
The Acolyte, the review bombing campaign, which is bullshit. It's people are
the show sucks.
The show's not good. Sorry. If you look closer though, Inside Out features an effortless emphasis on values like diversity and inclusion.
Okay, wait a minute.
Helped make Disney a target.
You mean the show, the movie did diversity inclusion right? Where they made it about good characters and a good story that happens to have diversity and inclusion and people liked it? You mean like people like us have been telling you this entire time? And you're acting like, well, there's diversity and inclusion in it and everybody loves it. No. They love Inside Out. That it's Inside Out 2 is more Inside Out like what they loved. And it happens to be diverse and inclusive, but it's a good characters and story first. That's what they like. Okay? They hate the Acolyte because the Acolyte is not even Star Wars. And it feels like it's a lot of forced diversity and inclusion with very little good characterization story. There is a difference. And this is written by a dude, by the way, this article. There's a difference.
Yeah, so they're like, well, they're going to make money with Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
I'm sure they are. We said that they are. We said that that's probably going to be the biggest hit that Marvel's had.
Where are all these people complaining? Where are these people complaining that Disney succeeded?
It's because people are still complaining about the Acolyte.
But that's not. Whoa. Who wrote this? Brian. Is his name Brian?
Brian Lowry.
Okay, Brian. That's not what's going on. You're comparing apples to oranges here. Is what you're doing.
Yes.
And then you screaming culture war. And you're using Inside Out 2 to try to get clicks. That's, what do we call that? Grifting. Yeah. Fuck you, Brian. That's not what's going on at all, dude. But please come tell me, since you're also worried about diversity and inclusion, I'm a woman. Please do come explain to me, Brian, how you're right.
No, Brian's worried about his job. That's what Brian's worried about, because Brian's going to be on the chopping block if he doesn't bring views. That's what this is all about. So yeah, because Inside Out 2 did well, and we actually said, hey, it did a hell of a lot better than I thought it was going to do. It did a hell of a lot better than Disney thought it was going to do.
It was going to depend, and that's what we said.
On how it
on what the story was.
Right.
If you went with classic Inside Out, it was going to do well. If you went with forced narrative, then it was not going to do well. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. And we're talking with the mainstream audience, with the majority of people, not the vocal minority, the majority of people. And it's going over well with them, and it's doing well. It's almost like if you try to create content for a market that's the mass market, the main market, you'll do better than if you niche yourself into oblivion.
Well, that doesn't mean... This is Brian. That doesn't mean those who have turned Disney's mouse ears into targets will be less inclined to rail against something like the Acolyte, distorting what the Star Wars show does and doesn't do in the process.
Where are they distorting it?
It's not queer with a capital Q, according to Leslie Headland. It's a reminder, though, that plenty of people still see the Disney name as the ideal of entertainment that they can share with loved ones. And as long as the studio fulfills that implied contract, woke or otherwise, Mickey and Friends won't be going broke anytime soon.
Brian, go back to that paragraph. Brian, I'll break it down, make it small words for you. Okay. Plenty of people see the Disney name as an ideal entertainment they can share with loved ones. See, that's the problem, Brian. The last few movies they've been putting out, like Lightyear, wasn't Buzz Lightyear. We had Strange World, which was very much gender-driven and no one knew what the heck it was. You've been having these movies like the Marvel stuff and everything else. The Marvels, they were trying to, it turned out it wasn't as bad, but people were expecting this big narrative because Disney keeps building up to these big narratives about girl power and shit. They didn't go to the theater, Brian, because they didn't want to spend money on it when it was probably going to be a bunch of agenda dog shit, Brian. But when we got a movie back that from the trailers looked like, classic Inside Out, doesn't seem like they're pushing anything. It seems like a movie I can take my family to. They went, Brian. Because it implied, woke or otherwise. No, there was no implication about a lot of this stuff, and people didn't go because of it. The Elemental did. It took them a whole summer to break even on that one because people were so worried it was going to be more, it was going to be like some racist narrative, a racial justice narrative or something. They didn't go. And then when they found out it was good, they did start going. But it took months to get people convinced to go because they were so convinced it was going to be common current year Disney stuff. So it's not about implied ideals and all this other shit. People are going because Disney has told them what they wanted to promote. Now that Disney's going back to form, people will go. It's really not that hard, Brian. And it's completely opposite of what you're saying.
CNN is angry that you're not more angry.
And where's your proof of this? I'm not saying.
There are no examples.
I'm seeing
no examples.
Audience scores high on it. The critic scores high on it.
Yeah, the audience score is great. So for all this, like, hey, everybody's gonna go out and review bomb anything Disney or whatever. The audience score in Inside Out's in the 90s too. So
yeah, so
I've had people write me that are very anti-Disney. They've actually written me and said, "Oh my God, this is the first time in like 15 years that Disney's actually done something right."
Yeah, exactly. That's it right there. And people aren't taking their kids anymore. They weren't taking their kids because they were afraid they didn't know what they were going to get. And now they're like, "Oh, we're back to being classic Disney, so we'll go." Look, we finally have a family-friendly Pixar movie that we can do and that we can take our kids to this summer, and they're happily going. If you give your audience what they want and give them what they expect and don't try to shove shit into it, they will go.
Man, is this the girl from The Boys? She doesn't look as good since her.
Anyway, let's go to the Zelda thing. Then the other narrative.
This is the same thing. They're actually angry that you're not angry. I've seen this happen.
They're trying to generate outrage that isn't there.
Yeah, NME. Zelda is finally playable in her own game, but not everybody's happy.
Very few people that are mad about it. I haven't seen anyone, honestly.
Very few people. So during the Nintendo Direct, this would have been last week, a new Zelda game was announced where you play as Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom. Actually, a lot of people were like, it's about time.
Yeah, that's how, I'm like, wait, you get to play as Zelda now? That's awesome. Yeah. I thought it looked like fun. I was all excited about it. Everybody who I've seen has been happy. I have honestly not seen anyone complaining about it.
It's not often we get to play as Zelda, and while most people are excited, some are downright angry. Show examples. There are no examples. The game, due out on Thursday, September 26, features Zelda as the main playable character after Link gets trapped in some sort of alternate dimension. They've done this with Mario too. They got Peach games. Rather than the typical sword and gadget gameplay we're used to playing as Link, Zelda has a magical staff that allows her to copy items she finds around the world and enemies she defeats in battle. These copies can be used to solve puzzles. It's actually pretty interesting.
This sounds like something I would love. This sounds like it's right up my alley.
Okay, they're not showing examples.
In the comments in the trailer.
In the comments for the YouTube trailer, show them. For Echoes of Wisdom, most people are excited for the game, speaking about the new mechanics and how cute Zelda's wearing Link's cloak, and what a hero he is for saving her just before being captured himself. However, over on Twitter, some people are angry that you are forced to play as a woman in a series that's been named after her since its very inception.
One thing I've seen is that one YouTube person had made some post about, the chuds are mad kind of thing, and people were like, where? We're not seeing anybody being angry, and it was getting all this interaction, but it's mostly people saying that they're full of shit because they're like, I'm not seeing this, and that's where they're probably taking it from. That's why I see everybody sharing. There's no evidence. There's nothing to support it. They just keep sharing this tweet as if it was fact because they said so. But there isn't evidence to support it. And if it is, it's literally, in this case, a handful of people. It's very few.
Some angry gamers have been calling Nintendo woke for choosing to have Zelda as a playable. Where? It should be noted, this is the first time she's been playable. Correct.
Yes.
Zelda was available as a character in the Smash Brothers games. She was also playable in the CDI era of Zelda games. She was also co-lead in the cartoon show that many of us grew up with. Excuse Me, Princess. They should have just had a game called Excuse Me, Princess. I would have played that. Some people see this as a sign that another male character is being replaced by a woman, even though the series is, in fact, named after Zelda. Show examples. NME, there are no examples because even people that they hate, that they consider Gamergate or whatever, a lot of them are like, oh, cool, you get to play as Zelda.
Everybody I've talked to said they're excited about it. It looks cute. It looks different. They're really excited about it. I'm not seeing this hate mob of going after Zelda. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing the hate mob going after Inside Out 2. Yeah, they're basically like, oh my gosh, it's doing really well because it actually gave people what they wanted.
Yeah, and same with the theme parks. Like if Disney would turn it around tomorrow and they would up their game and they would actually, because the reason people are getting upset is that they charge you through the nose and they're giving you a budget cut experience. And even diehard Disney fans, people that have not been railing against Star Wars or whatever all these years, they're even like, yeah, okay, this is ridiculous. Epcot is ridiculous. Tiana breaking down a couple days before it's supposed to officially open is ridiculous.
It keeps breaking. It opens in 4 days. Hey, real quick, on the right here it says, a new Disney ride opens, splashing out the culture war. Was this Brian also?
Is that we covered that one before? No, this is Natasha.
So apparently there's a mandate that culture wars has to be something in your comments. Oh, their comment. Oh, this is CNN. Were there comments on the other article too? About,
nobody's commenting on
no
this
one's
one.
commenting on this one?
No.
Because they're full of shit.
Yeah, but they've got several Disney, because probably, look, and I'm going to tell you the truth. Here's some inside baseball. Some of these publishers, a lot of these publishers are using AI to not to write the articles necessarily, but to come up with ideas based on their site's traffic and what people are looking for. So probably Disney, culture war, woke, acolyte, Inside Out 2, it's word salad. So take all of that and put it into an article, Brian, because you need the hits or we're going to have to lay you off, Brian.
You just want to say Brian too, because I do.
I'm going to do it because you're doing it, right? But no, I'm just saying, like, that's what's going on here. I don't believe most of these people actually believe it. And I think they also take these quote unquote culture warriors too seriously. Most of the people that make fun of this stuff aren't really that serious about it. I mean, there are some that are. I'm like, God, how can you sit there with a straight face, not even crack a smile, whatever? Most people are having fun with it now because it's all so ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
It's just so ridiculous. And then we're just like getting the marshmallows out as we watch these companies burn themselves to the ground. And it's so easy to fix it. That's what gets me. It's like, it's so easy to fix it. All you got to do is just give people what they expect. Right? From a franchise. That's literally all you have to do.
Exactly. It's all you have to do.
It's not hard.
And people have been asking for a Zelda-led game for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So they gave people what they wanted, and they're not mad about it. I don't ever want to hear the term grifter referring to us, because this is you're like flat out just making up shit.
No, they're mad because there are people that exist outside of their ecosystem that are making money talking about news and talking about this stuff. They think they should have it locked down, and they're mad about it. And a lot of them are getting laid off because of Google AI and all this other stuff, and the ad rates being terrible. And I'm sorry, I am. I mean, we've had to lay people off. I hate doing it. But, like, don't blame us. It's not our fault. It's you didn't stay relevant. You didn't pivot when you needed to pivot. And now you're just, trying to... I think what they're trying to do is play catch up. Like, well, we'll talk about the woke culture. For years, they wouldn't talk about it. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about it here on CNN, but we're going to come out from a different angle because we're not bigots.
We're just going to blame people who are innocent. But yeah,
right.
Go ahead.
So there we go, guys. They're angry. CNN is angry that you're not more angry about Disney and Zelda. That's going to be the title of the video.
And Kiki's just angry that people like Brian are stupid.
So we're going to wrap it up. Mm-hmm. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.